So there's a story that just came out this morning about Hunter Biden. And really, it's just like an update on an old story. The old story being that Hunter Biden leveraged his connection with his dad basically to get paid. And, you know, it's kind of run-of-the-mill corruption in Washington, D.C. Unfortunately, this is common. This is what all these politicians do. And Biden has a track record of, you know, the people in his inner circle getting paid as a result of who he is. So, of course, this refers to a Ukrainian company called Burisma. It's an energy company. And basically, Hunter was getting paid like $50,000 a month, really to do nothing. He doesn't know anything about Ukraine. He doesn't know anything about energy. The bottom line is, it was like a way for them to snuggle up to Daddy Biden, to Joe Biden, because Joe Biden is incredibly powerful. And, you know, if you're on Biden's good side, then you can get favoritism. You can get sweetheart deals. So basically, paying Hunter is like an investment, and there will be a return on that investment, and they knew that. So the story from today, from the New York Post, is basically that we saw emails of the exchange where Hunter is leveraging his relationship with his dad to get paid more money. So I went through the article, and yeah, I mean, that's exactly what's happening. It is corruption. It's pretty straightforward. But the story gets crazier because, so you have that portion of it, which I think is totally legitimate, the financial dealings, and, you know, it's plain as day right in front of you that what they were doing was inappropriate, unethical, immoral, probably illegal, although who knows, in DC, corruption's basically legal at this point. But then they also put stuff, they also had pictures of Hunter Biden, like, in his personal life, where he's, like, smoking a cigarette in a bathtub. One of them, he's, like, shirtless and posing in front of a mirror wearing sunglasses. There's another one where he's, like, asleep, and, like, there's a crack pipe right near him. So these were released also. And the way that all this stuff came out is somewhat sketchy, because it's supposedly a laptop that was dropped off for repair and never picked up. I don't know about that. It just seems like this was probably some GOP opposition research that they're trying to get as like an October surprise, and they succeeded on that front. But what happened was this article came out, people were talking about it, then effectively, like, all the social media outlets decided, how about we censor this? I'm not kidding. So I believe Facebook is limiting the exposure of the article, and Twitter just outright banned it, where you can't tweet the article if you want to tweet the article. And I don't even know their exact reason. They might be making some sort of an argument like, oh, just like with Hillary's emails and the WikiLeaks, this could be Russian election interference, so we can't have election tampering this close to an election, or election meddling this close to an election. That might be their reason. Or they might just be making a broad, like, this is fake news argument, in which case, okay, now you guys just granted yourselves the authority to, like, take down whatever news stories you've determined are fake. That seems like a horrendous precedent to set. So now what's happening is people are skirting around the ban on Twitter by just tweeting out in actual tweets the article in 280-character chunks, one after the other after the other. So now, in my opinion, it is totally legitimate, the emails coming out where you see the corruption unfolding in front of you. I agree that it's sketchy and unnecessary to have the private pictures of Hunter Biden there. Like, there's nothing journalistic about it. You're just being an asshole and violating somebody's privacy. He didn't want these pictures to be seen publicly, so they shouldn't be seen publicly. So there's a question about journalistic ethics in releasing that part of it, the personal pictures part of it. But really, there's no question about whether or not the email showing the corruption should be released, because it's showing corruption, which is definitely in the public interest. So, and then you have, like, the Washington Post. They tweeted something like that they weren't gonna report on the story or show the story. Again, who knows exactly what their reason was. There might be something about election meddling or interference, or we don't know the source of this, or they might just say, like, oh, it's fake news. But bottom line is, man, the corruption part is legitimate. I think the personal pictures, it's a little more sketchy and unethical to show those. But Twitter and Facebook should not be doing what they're doing. They should not be censoring. They should not be taking it down because they don't like the political leanings of this. Let me put it to you this way. If they leak something on Trump, if China or Iran or Israel or somebody leaked information on the Trump family, would news outlets say, we're not going to run this because that would be election interference? If Russia leaked something on Trump, would news outlets say, we're not going to run this because this, we don't like to meddle in the election this close to it? Of course not. Of course they wouldn't do that. Of course they would run it. Who are we kidding? It's ridiculous to say otherwise. So this is like, Silicon Valley, the social media companies, basically being democratic hacks. Like, let the article be and let people determine how important it is or isn't. And, guys, you can't just have them pull down stuff they don't like. That's insane. That's insane. Now, final point I'll make is this. The real response to what we just saw from Hunter is like, yeah, of course that's corrupt. It's obvious. Trump and his family, Trump made over $70 million, $73 million to be exact, in a few years as president. That's not even his whole time as president. It's like maybe 2016, 2017, or 2017, 2018. That doesn't even include all of his time as president. We learned from the bombshell report on his taxes, he made $73 million from foreign investors. Foreign investors. So you know what that means? A lot of those people could be Israeli. A lot of those people could be from the Saudi government. And basically, Trump is doing them favors because they give him money. Multi-billion-dollar weapons deal to Saudi Arabia as they do a genocide in Yemen. Jared and Ivanka made, I believe, over $90 million since Daddy became president. That's the same shit. That's the same shit. The same with the Clinton Foundation. Guys, it's all corrupt. It's all corrupt. Don't pretend like magically the Hunter thing is not corrupt because now we're in an election and Joe Biden is the candidate, so now we're just going to turn our brains off and lie like crazy. And that's the sense I get from a lot of people. They're pretending like it's not corrupt. Their response is, of course it's corrupt, and of course it's terrible, and of course I condemn it, but Trump and his family are doing the exact same shit. So stop pretending like they're holier than thou, because they're not. So anyway, my overall takeaway is the article has a journalistic purpose for exposing the corruption. Probably shouldn't have run the pictures, but since they decided to run the pictures, you can't just ban something because you don't like the story, or you're just assuming it's fake news. By the way, even if it was fake news, you still should be allowed to run it, because there should be no central authority, Ministry of Truth, determining what is and what isn't true, what's okay, what's not okay, because they're never going to get it right all the time, and they have their own biases and their own problems. So this is crazy. I can't believe we're seeing the outright suppression of a news story. I'm telling you, man, we're going down a really bad path. And freedom on the internet as we know it is going away, and it's going away rather quickly. And it doesn't matter how much you dislike or like the Hunter Biden story. You gotta leave it up. Because are you kidding me? Then you give veto power on any news story to Mark Zuckerberg and Jack at Twitter. I do not trust their judgment, and you shouldn't either.